of the event featuring Maxis titled Live, Learn, Work Digitally. We have Sunita Kar from Maxis' Young Talent Team, Marwan El Jamal from Maxis' Learning and Development Team, and Agnel Raj from the Culture and Transformation Team, moderated by Amir Sharifuddin. Before I pass the floor to our moderator of the day, kindly tune in to this video prepared by Team Maxis. So I'll be sharing a video right now.
We all dream of success, turning our ambitions into achievements, taking ourselves that one step further, or a level higher than we were before, a step ahead from what we were before. It steers us in the direction of who we want to be, where we want to go, and how much we're willing to strive to get there. At Maxis, we don't just recognize your desire to always be ahead. We welcome it. We recognize your determination and dedication to reach your fullest potential. We're excited to share our knowledge and experience to help you find your path. At Maxis, we celebrate diversity because it is the spark from which new ideas are born and shared. We put you in the forefront of change. Here, you'll find the dream opportunity to not only work with cutting-edge technology, but also the chance to deliver it to a nation geared towards moving ahead. Maxis is your gateway to endless possibilities. We believe in making dreams come to life. It's the secret to our success, which is why, to us, yours are the most important, because only together will we always be the head.
So thank you guys for tuning in. So before we start the session, I'd just like to remind everyone to do follow Grad1 on social media. Our handle's right here at Grad1, and don't forget to follow Maxis as well at Life@Maxis. So now without further ado, I'll be passing the virtual floor to our moderator of the day, Amir Sharifuddin. Amir, it's all yours.
Thank you so much, Wafi. Thank you so much, Grad1 team. And thank you, everyone who are with here today. So I hope you guys are doing great and amazing. As always, even you are in Australia at Down Under, right? Okay. So before we start, let me introduce myself to you. I'm Amir. I am a young talent specialist in Maxis. And here at Maxis, the team champion the development and management of young talent agenda to nurture them into becoming a brighter talent for their careers ahead. So before we start, I want to personally encourage all of the audience here to give your view, comments, or even questions over at the chat box. So towards the end, I'll be reading it out and forward it to our speakers so we can hear their insights. So support all of us via the chat box, so because that is the only interaction that we're going to have with you. Because imagine if this is physical, imagine that we are in Australia with you guys now, we can simply identify those audiences who are avoiding eye contact just to avoid being asked, just to avoid being called out. So we don't have that fun in the virtual setting, but never mind, we can still make this fun. So if you found our speakers here giving punchline here and there, share some support to them and over at the chat section as well, okay? So we are all human beings, we need encouragement to live, okay? So together with us, we have three experts within their areas, and they are going to share more based on their perspective on our topic, live, learn, and work digitally. Because we cannot deny that the technology evolving really fast. And by fast, I mean lightning speed fast. So everyone needs to catching up, or else if you don't catch up, you're going to get left behind. Okay, so first speaker, Sunita. She is the head of young talent in Maxis. Sunita actually graduated with a bachelor's degree in computer science and has over 20 years of professional working experience in various industries, ranging from education sector, oil and gas, smart card technologies, accounting, and professional services. So her last 10 years in various roles have been dedicated towards working with young talent, particularly a space that she is deeply passionate in. Her role now as head of young talent at Maxis focuses on three main areas under her purview, which is internships, scholarships, and graduate programs. Hello, Sunita. How are you?
Hey, thanks, Amir. Hi, everyone. Hope everyone is pumped up for our session today.
Thank you, Sunita. Glad that you are here with us today. So just a naughty questions. I heard you're very active at TikTok. What content did you make?
I think that's a secret. You need to follow me on TikTok to find out.
Don't play. My stalking skills is very great. I will sure I will find your profile. Okay, so let's move on to our next speaker, Marwan. He is the head of learning and development at Maxis. So over the course of his career, Marwan has been fortunate to work in different continents and have spent over 13 years working in the learning and talent development space. And ever since he can remember, learning has always been part of his life, his passion, from learning culture, social interactions, and human behaviors, to learning how to rapidly develop and transform organizations' capability along with their learning experience, especially with the new norm. Hello, Marwan. Looking good as always.
Thank you so much, Amir. How are you doing? How are you guys? How's everyone?
Everyone is doing great and seeing you
Yeah.
with us today. So, Marwan, I heard you are a gym junkie. So do you ever think of making a YouTube content to motivate us to start working out?
Yeah, can of course. Yes, doable. Yeah, gym. I guess it's not only gym, right? It's within the spectrum of activities, sports, and so on. So yeah,
Fitness and active lifestyle, like basically.
and I am happy to get any questions from you guys here in the chat, apart from the discussions that we have today.
Okay, so the audiences out there, the questions are now being more wider. It's not about work, learn digitally. It's also about fitness. Let's get throwing your question. Our next speaker, let's move on. Thank you, Marwan. Our next speaker is our culture champion, Agnel Raj. Previously, Agnel was the HR business partner for the sales and service division of Maxis. So prior to join, he spent almost 8 years as a principal consultant in one of the larger HR consulting firms in Asia and other commercial roles in companies like HP and Symantec. Agnel believes that change is good and there is no limitation on what can be achieved when embracing challenges and change and new challenges. So Agnel here now leading the culture and transformation team at Maxis. Thank you, Agnel, for joining us. How are you, Agnel?
I'm good. Glad to be part of this. Thank you, Amir, and my fellow colleagues here, Marwan and Sunita. We're going to have some fun today.
So Agnel, tell us about your cycling game. How is it now since it's permitted in Selangor?
So yes, cycling. Yeah, I'm passionate about cycling. I started about 2 years ago as a means of getting healthier and losing some weight. So it's really showing results. I've dropped like 2 sizes in clothing already, and that's amazing. And so my longest bicycle ride was 220 kilometers in a day. So I rode from Petaling Jaya to Tanjung Malim and Impera and came back. So that was fun. I plan to do that again.
That is so far. I guess you go to Pau Yik Mun in Tanjung Malim.
Yeah, all the small roads, the proton plant and etc. through the Felda plantations. Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome.
Anyone want to know about cycling? Then we can chat a little bit more later. Gym, go to Marwan. TikTok, go to Sunita. Cycling, come to me. Yeah.
We can go. We have so much fun today. It's not about only. It will be more diverse now. Okay. So everyone, let's dive right in with our topic today. We want our audiences really want to know about our topic. So Agnel, first question is to you. As culture and transformation lead at Maxis, and considering that everything with the pandemic going on has gone virtual nowadays, how does this affecting life at Maxis particularly? And what did Maxis do differently to cope with it?
Okay, cool. Wow, that's an interesting question. Let me just maybe share through a quick story. So, we planned of our refresh culture. We're moving away from a mobile business to really be a leading converged solutions provider. That's our vision. So we planned, to refresh the Maxis way and really help people work and live differently. And then the pandemic happened. So this question is actually a thought that went through our minds in March 2020. Marwan, Sunita, remember? And we realized that actually the way it was going to work, if you're going to do it digitally or virtually, is to get as many people involved as possible. And I feel that's one of the secrets of things succeeding in the virtual world is that people get to be part of it. That the content and the messaging is not just one way, but you get people to contribute content. You know, someone taking their phone and recording themselves of what they're doing in the 10 minutes in a day, and you putting all those stories together makes it feel like you're part of many people's lives. And I think that's the secret behind life at Maxis. It's not just one-way traffic. It's really about participation, engagement, and it being a means of others also sharing their stories. So that's how we're approaching life at Maxis.
Thank you, Agnel. Great to hear that Maxis is being hit. Definitely, I mean, despite the pandemic, we adapt pretty well with the virtual environment and setting. Yeah. Okay. So let's move on to the next questions that I would like to ask this to Marwan. Okay. Since the first nationwide movement control order was implemented, to what extent the uncertainty and continuous containment measures have been imposed a psychological burden on some people? So studies on Malaysian population shown that COVID-19 pandemic has put a strain on their mental health. And this is totally understandable because pandemic has been a period of stress where it can be overwhelmed for some people. So what did Maxis do to help encourage their employees, the staff, to build their resilience?
Yep. So look, Amir, first of all, in summary, what is resilience, right? We want to understand so we can see how we tackled it and so on. So briefly, it's you're bouncing back from a certain challenge or a problem or a negative experience that you've been through in a good way, right? This is as simple as that. And then look, when you look at it, of course, the pandemic changed a lot of our behaviors, a lot of how we look at things, and in terms of resilience as well, right? We all know that some of us are more naturally resilient than others. This is for sure. But then within Maxis, and if I'm wearing right now the Maxis Academy hat of the learning and development hat and so on, it was a challenge for us. How could we help our employees manage this and maintain this and be able to be resilient to what's happening? Because we don't know when will this end, right? It became now a new norm. So when you look at it, one of the important things that we worked on is our managers, our leaders in Maxis. How can our leaders help employees become more resilient? How could they help them let go of things at some point? Help them with their mental agility. Help them reduce the stress. If I'm asking you to do something this much with the current situation, I'm helping to do this much with this type of support. How could people become more flexible and so on? So actually, when we discussed the topic of resilience, it was embedded in an indirect way in the so many programs that we have, moving from the Leadership Academy with the programs that we had for our managers into self-paced learning through LinkedIn Learning and giving them some tools with our Mind Tools platform and so on. From there and there, trying to make sure that we are helping them make sure that we appreciate, we understand that resilience is there. We know it's there. We know some of you are more resilient than others, but here we're trying to help you make sure that somehow most of us are coping with it, right?
Good one, Marwan. I mean, good strategy by leveraging the people leaders at Maxis to actually drive this initiative within the team. Thank you. Maybe Agnel, you want to add something to that questions?
Yeah, so I think to add on Marwan's point is that resilience is not just calling everyone and say, we're going to now talk about resilience. You know, it's really about making them do better conversations with their teams. You know, to them, thinking about mental health, you know, making leaders aware about mental health, then helping employees to know where to go to get this kind of support. So it's at my fingertips. You know, we have this program called the Maxis Positive. It's called the Pillar of Support Initiative. So every employee should know, man, if I have this challenge, I know where to go. I know who to ask. I know where to reach out to. Through this, resilience is built. And of course, you have to share the success stories to everyone, because hearing someone else overcome a challenging period lets me know that, hey, actually, I'm not alone. I may be alone in my living room today. You know, I don't have my friends with me, but 3 people went through this and this is how they did it. Okay, I know I'm going to give it a try. So that's why stories are very powerful. Sharing stories helps build resilience among everyone because we're all away from each other now, right? So I think that's how we are doing it.
Thank you, Agnel. Interesting insight. I mean, mental health, like it or not, it can still be a taboo for Malaysians, and it's good to know that Maxis is being ahead with the Maxis Positive program in place. Okay, so I want to dive more into the learning part now, and I think Marwan, I think you will agree with me since your passion is more on learning and development space when I say that while we work, we are also learning. So to think of it, it might seem easy to coordinate with physical environment. So what are some of the challenges that comes with, blending working and learning in a digital setting?
Yeah. Well, actually, there's a lot of challenges when it comes to that particular point. Like you said, physical is easy, right? It's as easy as getting a face-to-face environment, a good environment, space for people to interact, and so on. But when you look at the digital one, apart from the design of the learning experience and so on, there are other factors which is always not within our control. People making time for learning. I mean, if I'm right now working virtually and I have a big project that I'm working on and I have a skill to learn, to be frank with you, the weightage is always for that big project that I'm working on. So this is one of the challenges. How can I make time for learning? This is one of them. One of the other challenges, of course, and this has been noticed over time, is digital fatigue. So you're trying to help people learn on the job, learn anytime, anywhere, but at the same time, they have so many meetings, they have so many things, and they're in front of the screen all the time. So these are, I would say, some of the most common challenges that we have noticed that are out of our control. Like, am I making time for learning? Am I getting the support from my manager to go for learning? And okay, I had enough with the screen. It's time for me to disconnect from the screen.
Sure. Thank you, Marwan, for that insight. And I think the students here also agree with that because I mean, I don't know if Australia already, you guys are already going to class and enjoying the normal life, but here in Malaysia, it's still pretty much online-based learning. And yes, digital fatigue is real. It can be quite overwhelming to us. Sunita, anything you want to add to the challenges of this whole digital setting?
Yeah, I think I concur with Marwan. I think in a digital setting, everything changes completely. I personally miss the physical training. Right, when we go, you are literally taken away from your work, right? There's no laptop that you bring to the training room. There's always food, of course, a major pull factor. And just getting to know your colleagues in a training environment. So that has completely changed when we move into a digital setting. It's just you and your laptop, right? And as Marwan rightly put it, digital fatigue, we always look at our laptops, and at any point in time, if we have to do another additional training or anything that's outside work, but still requires us to sit in front of a laptop, we tend to be not so disciplined in that. So it's finding that right balance. And again, maybe that the element of discipline, trying to really put yourself and look at it in a broader perspective that this is training, this is learning, so having to strike that balance is definitely one of the many challenges.
Thank you, Sunita. So my next question is to Marwan. I just curious, right? Out of curiosity, how did Maxis ensure that they accelerate the blending of working and learning digitally?
Yeah. So the simple, I would say, recipe here is embedding learning in the flow of work. How can we make sure that whatever you're going to learn is relevant, is just in time, is bite-sized, not too many things all over the place and so on, so you don't feel what we have just discussed earlier, the digital fatigue, and I don't have any time for learning and so on. Because we know all of these challenges, this was one of our main and important recipes to look at how digital learning is. When I'm going for learning, okay, so it's not like 5 or 6 hours of digital classroom. It could be an hour, it could be half an hour, it could be an hour, it could be even a couple of minutes just looking at a certain article that is really relevant to what you need at the point of time. And that's it. I mean, this is the simple thing of doing it. Because people think that accelerating digital learning, it means more digital learning hours, more content to share with the people. It's the opposite. Our attention span is short, right? So we have to take care of this. So again, going back to that is making sure that as a learner, as an employee, I have what I want at the point of need in the less amount of time.
Cool sharing, Marwan. Thank you for that. I mean, yeah, I think I tried to did that as well with this, digital setting. I will browse in LinkedIn and then find the articles that were relevant to me and just take a quick glimpse of it and try to understand the article more. At least we learn something new from that reading, right? Yeah, thank you for sharing that. So let's move on to Agnel. Everyone keeps talking about work-life balance. But with this work from home practice, are we actually looking towards more on work-life integration concept? As you know, work now has become part of our life. We set up our office at home. We used to have pantry at office, but now our kitchen is now our pantry.
Exactly.
So what is your comment about this?
Yeah, cool. So I've got two interesting lessons that I've learned in life that I want to share to everyone that's watching this. Work-life integration actually existed for a long time already. And we even say the words, let me share this phrase that most people would use. Work hard, play hard. I mean, you've heard this, right? Actually, work hard, play hard is a form of work-life integration. It's just you never join the two, in a proper way. What it simply means is that even before this, we at Maxis, right, we believe that your life at Maxis is more than just work, and that kind of a culture helped us transition into work from home a lot better. Yes, there is digital fatigue. There is staring at the computer the whole day, but we do whatever we can to even give people a break. And because whether it's having the best comedians in the country come and do a special show for us, or whether we switch off Microsoft Teams and open Zoom and everyone do yoga together, or do moving classes. Well, this is a way of us mixing work and life. Whether it's a virtual cooking class, so we try to get as creative as we can. And even as we speak now, there's about 100 people competing in a virtual treasure hunt. It's ongoing in the office right now. And this is where integration happens. But one more lesson I learned, Amir, is that as disciplined as you are in doing work, you also have to be disciplined in switching off and going for a run, in switching off and going to cook something, switching off and taking your kids to the park. That part many people sometimes neglect, and they feel, oh my God, I feel like I got no work-life balance. But the life balance requires discipline as well. So I think if you can do that in both areas, you will be okay. You'll be a balanced individual, and stress will be managed better. There are some mornings, if I have the meeting only starting at 9:30, 7 a.m., I go for a ride. Even if it's a short ride, I come back, I grab a shower, and I'm back in my machine. Man, that is going to be a good day. So do these kind of little things for yourself, and I think you'll manage it well.
Thank you so much, Agnel. I think this is a very interesting perspective that you have been put into, because at the end of the day, I do believe that work and life, life, work, it's in one thing. It's a whole about yourself. Because sometimes, at night, when you take your shower at night and then you got an idea about working and then you just write it somewhere. It's not that you are putting more work, right, into your life. It's just that you are integrating and accommodating between these two. And we can see the trend that employees now implementing remote working. So people, working from Bali, working from another place. And this is actually, if you think of it, it's not about balancing things, but you are actually integrating it in your life. Like you said, work hard, play harder. You are integrating your holiday at beaches and also at the same time joining into the meeting. So I think future graduates needs to look at it as a whole rather than keep on shouting about balancing things, etc. But I do agree with you on discipline part. I love your answer. And maybe Sunita, anything you want to add to these questions?
I'm still hung up on working in Bali. I'm already thinking about, oh, that will be an amazing work-life integration concept for me. Yeah, but I mean, coming back to reality, yeah, I think Agnel really, he hit it right on the hit the nail right on the head. I think it's really unique to every individual how you define work-life integration or work-life balance for you. Because, for example, and I'm just taking into account what you shared, right, Amir? Sometimes when we are, we are doing something that we love, maybe we are cooking or we are running or doing something other than work, but inspiration related to work comes to you, right? Because sometimes we can't switch off completely. We're not robots. So sometimes when you're cooking or you're doing, you're thinking, oh, you had that issue or that challenge at work, and oh, suddenly, eureka, you have that solution or a potential solution. So then obviously you will stop and write down your ideas and so on, right? So it's really about how you strike that balance. But of course, sometimes as much as we want to push ourselves, we need to acknowledge, potential burnout or even, mental health issues. So again, it's about the individual. Do try to find that time where you completely and disciplined switch off. If you say you're going to go for the run, make sure you go for the run and have a plan, right? So when you want to finish your last email and then do a shutdown, and then you just move away from your workspace.
Actually, to add on to what Sunita said, I mean, the voice note capability in WhatsApp is now one of the best used features for when ideas pop into your head. So if you ask any one of the guys who work with me, I get a lot of ideas and I put it into a voice note. I used to laugh at people who use WhatsApp voice note, but I do that because, like you say, sometimes it just comes to you while you're running, or while you're washing your car, etc. So that's the way it's going to be.
Or while you're cycling.
While you're cycling, yeah. But of course, please pay attention to the traffic, yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Agnel, for sharing that. Yes, ideas can come to you anytime. I do agree with that. And it's not that when ideas come, you want to demolish that because, oh, no, I'm enjoying my life now. I'm not working. Let's take the idea and then, put it into perspective when you are doing your work later, right? Yeah, so good. Thank you for sharing, Agnel and Sunita. So the next question, I think this is something that our graduates will want to hear the most. Sunita, with your expertise, do share with us, with these uncertainties of job market, data from government are saying job market are crashing. So what do you think graduates can do to market themselves better to the employers?
Yeah, that's a good question, Amir. I think, and that's probably on all of everyone who's tuning in. Those who are still struggling to secure any employment or even internships for that matter. I think that would be a hot question on your head. So I think there are many ways, many ways, and I think we probably may not be able to cover every aspect or areas that you can market yourselves better. But I think if I need to share personally, it will be two key areas. I think first is to inculcate a growth mindset, right? So doesn't mean when you finish your bachelor's degree or your postgrad or your studies, your learning stops, right? So actually it's quite the opposite. Learning is really, it's a journey. So it never stops. You can never learn enough. And even when you start working, the learning journey continues at so many different levels. And I think more importantly, while you're searching for that right job or your dream job, right? There's so many online learning courses that are free that you can take up, right? So this is actually upskilling yourself. You're actually adding on knowledge while you're waiting for that job, or that opportunity to present itself, right? So that's one. I think the second one is grow your network professionally. So I hope all of you already have a LinkedIn account. But if you don't, you can start one now. Amir is a pro at, he just recently did a session with one of the campuses, Get Lit on LinkedIn. So stalk him, follow him, he can give you tips. So I think LinkedIn is a great platform for you to really connect with people. either in the same industry or any industries, follow some leaders who inspire you. See, and reads a lot of articles are being shared about what's trending out there. So always be in the know so that you always stay ahead. So that will be my two areas, Amir.
Thank you, Sunita. So graduates out there, remember, always have growth mindset, upskill yourself and grow your network. Okay, so this I think this is very useful tips. So my next question to you, Sunita, with this pandemic going on, hiring and recruitment process are changing. So like before this, to generate offer letter, you need to print it out, signing it and everything. So my first question is, with these changes, does it affect quality of hiring because you don't see it physical, face to face? The next one is, how do you think Maxis adapt to these changes and making the whole recruitment process digitally?
Okay, all right. So the two questions, I'm going to answer the second one first, followed by, and then zoom down to the first one, right? So I think hiring and recruitment generally, right, the whole process should evolve with times. To stay relevant and with the ever-changing recruitment landscape, as well as to adapt to any external factors that will force you to change or navigate yourself differently. COVID was a clear example of that, right? So I think for Maxis, adopting a digital recruitment approach is what we've been doing even pre-COVID times. Generating offer letters and so on were all done digitally. Right, even signing offer letters and so on. So we already had adopted a very maybe forward-thinking kind of approach, even pre-COVID times. So when COVID hit, it wasn't a major change for us. It was something that we've already had in practice. We probably just need to extend it a little bit more in other areas. Right. So back to the question in terms of whether it affects the quality of hiring, I don't see any area where it does affect, because as I mentioned, we already have done it before. It works very well. Of course, that would refer mostly for the fresh grad or entry level kind of positions, right? So for middle and senior level, there will be other areas that, of course, we may not be able to do it fully digital. But I'm just focusing on the recruitment for fresh grads and entry level. So in terms of quality, definitely not a challenge, because we've been doing it before, and we've already have that infrastructure in place. So when COVID hit, we just needed to maybe open up the areas where we've never had, but just extend it to having virtual assessment centers, doing breakout sessions. Even a lot of our award ceremony last year, for example, was done fully virtual. So I think in that sense, we have always maybe thought ahead, much earlier on. And I think that's important. So we always stay agile. We are always, adaptable to any given situation.
Wow, I mean, good to know that. And actually taking from someone who joined Maxis recently, I think, yes, correct. Even with the pandemic, my onboarding journey from offer letter, interview, it was all very smooth. And I think Maxis is very progressive and very ahead in making sure in transforming the recruitment processes so the candidates will have better experience from all of it. Thank you, Sunita, for sharing. And it's not that I want to, compliment Maxis or what, but really it is always ahead. I mean, it is really being ahead with things in place lah, with all the digital setting in the recruitment. Okay, so my next question is to Marwan and Agnel. I think Agnel can answer first. Taking from candidate experience and perspective, coming into first day, it can be nervous as hell. It can be nerve-wracking, right? So what did Maxis do differently to ensure this onboarding journey for everyone smooth, even in digital setting?
The first thing they did was they made me and Marwan entertain all our new joiners on day two. No, just kidding. Yeah, but we have the privilege of meeting all our new joiners when they come on board. But I'll share this one part before I hand it over to my buddy. I think what normally happens, right, when you think first day, this is my own experience, you go and they give you this timetable, this Excel sheet, 10:45 to 11, you're going to learn how to do claims. And then you're like all alone, thinking, where do I go? And who is, hi, Miss Tan, am I supposed to see you? Wow, man, it's so nerve-wracking. So what we done differently is that we imagine how would this journey be for a new joiner, and eliminate the first thing, that is you don't do it alone. So we have a fixed joining date in the organization, and we take a group of people on a 3-day adventure with us. They go through different chats, they play games together, they learn about the organization, they meet different leaders, but they also become friends. Rather than some organizations do a batch, but very much that Excel is you alone, but we try not to have people going to different rooms. You, Mr. Tan, Raju, I'm supposed to see you for safety talk. We don't do that. All right. We keep them together and we bring them on this little like a roller coaster ride. And we say, on your left is Marwan from L&D. And we spend some time. And on your right is Sunita. And that's what we do with our new joiners. Over to you, Marwan.
Yeah, so true. Look, Amir, you have just said it now. You have joined recently. The way we have designed together as a team, Agnel and our other colleagues in the people organization division, is how can we make sure it's togetherness? There's togetherness part. It's interactive. It's not those boring sessions where it's just one-way approach and people are talking. The next session, people are talking, and so on. This was the key thing for us, is making sure that people feel in a digital environment, even though I'm looking at my laptop, it's a togetherness mode. I'm working with a colleague, like Agnes said, we're playing games here, competing, quizzes, and so on. So this is one of the things. Also, one of the important things for us is how can we show them warmth and then competency. Warmth as an employer, Maxis as a company, then we show them what we do, being ahead, convert solutions, and so on. So this was some of the elements. And when we look at people's feedback about the onboarding, they can't believe it. I mean, you were one of the people that joined it. Like, wow, this was hell of a ride. I mean, too many activities here and there, too many interactions here and there, even with the live speakers.
Yes, I have to agree with that.
It's okay. It happens. It happens. It happens. Yes. Yes.
That was very much so. I've been very focused because I want to answer and get the top 3 spot. So yeah, it was exciting for me at least. So I think let's move on to our final questions, and we want to hear from all of you, the speakers today. Do share some tips to our future graduates out there on how can they succeed in their future workplace. Let's start with Sunita first.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Amir. So I think future workplace is a very much talked about topic more than ever, right? And again, it can mean so many things. But my tip would be for all the young talents to always have an open mind, have the mental agility to adapt quickly to any situation, whatever it can be, and more importantly, have a growth mindset. Yeah. So I think I always like to quote Alvin Toffler. I think he was a American writer and futurist. I think he said the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read or write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. So I think it's quite a powerful statement. I think it will be very useful for all the young talents out there.
Thank you, Sunita, for sharing that. Marwan, any tips from you?
Yeah. Look, adding up to what you just said, Sunita, of course, a growth mindset is the key, right? One of the other things is please be proactive. Be proactive about everything that has to do with your career and development. Don't just wait there and waiting for the opportunity to come to you or waiting for someone to tell you. It doesn't work. So always be proactive. One of the other things is, this is a key advice for everyone. You guys, during your career, you will fail, right? I mean, we all do that, right? But take this failure as a learning opportunity. Take it and learn from it. One of the other things also, when you look at your colleagues around you, there will be what we call a healthy competition, right? This is the nature of human beings. Look at it as an inspiration for you. Look at other success as you're getting inspired. Wow, I mean, I go talk to him, understand how he did that, and so on. So again, you said the key word here, Sunita, which is the growth mindset. And for me, speaking about quotes and so on, one of the inspiring quotes for me when we're talking about openness, having a growth mindset, accepting failures, and looking proactive and so on is our mind is like a parachute. It doesn't work unless it's open. It's as simple as that.
Cool, cool. Thank you, Marwan. Oh, now everybody's sharing their quotes of life, is it? Okay, so let's move on to Agnel for the final tips.
Okay, so mine is I'm going to say something that's quite controversial. Are you ready? Anyone who tell you they are passionate about work is lying to you. Okay, let me tell you why. Let's see, Marwan, Sunita laughing. My advice to all of you guys that are watching this is that be passionate about things in your life, and that will spill over to your work. You don't really wake up thinking about being passionate about Excel and PowerPoint and etc. But the people that are passionate about work, many times they are passionate about something else in their life as well. So be that person, whether it's health or your fitness, or whether you want to be a super chef, or you want to be, the best pet groomer or whatever, and then bring that passion into your workplace as well. Because if not, then you'll be quite a dry, boring person to work with. And we in Maxis don't really like that. Sorry. But be passionate about areas in your life, and then let it spill over into your work. And I think that's when you will find ways to make work fun, because you are generally like a fire starter wherever you go. So yeah, learn that early on in your career, and you'll enjoy your working life.
Thank you, Agnel, for sharing that. Wow, very cool tips that I think I didn't get from another session. So you guys are sharing a very interesting and perspective. Okay, so actually let's move on to our Q&A session from the audience, because the chat is very active right now. Agnel, congratulations, you just inspired Sarah to start cycling. So at least we inspire someone today, right? Okay, so yeah, I have these questions from. Hold on, yeah. Karin, okay. She appreciates the diverse background that we featured today. Yes, Karin, we really emphasize on inclusion and diversity. So a general question, what is it like working in Maxis? And how did the company help you transition to working virtually? Marwan, you want to take these questions?
Yeah, so I would love to share my inputs. Considering myself, I'm non-Malaysian, by the way. I'm from Egypt. Really, when I look at it with the diversity and so on in the company, I feel like I'm not left behind. I'm not alone. I feel like I'm a part of a bigger family and so on. So this is the part about how warmth I feel it when I deal even with my colleagues, whether in my department or other departments, whether it's virtually or previously back in the office. Moving on to how we supported, of course, the most important thing for us as safety comes first, right? Your safety, your well-being, your mental health. How could we help you ensuring that even though we are far away from each other, we're making sure that you're staying at home. Mentally, we are helping you. Physically, we're helping you. Making sure that whatever you need in terms of your day-to-day or on-job requirements is there done in a smooth way. So I would say that this was one of the key things. When the pandemic struck us, I didn't feel like as a company, okay, we're going to go back to the office the first. We're going to go do this the first. We were planning in a very safe way that, okay, let's assess and see what's going on around us and make sure when people are back, they are back in a safe way. Wearing the learning and development hat, we were helping our colleagues in the company with tips and tricks. How are you going to return to the office? How does it look like? Working with Agnes as well from a cultural perspective. How can we make sure that the culture also is live, whether it's virtual and non-virtual and so on? So these are some of the things I would share.
Thank you, Marwan. Next questions from Jakian. I want to ask this to Agnel. She asks, what does work-life balance mean to you?
Okay. So what it means to me personally is that I can work and do whatever I want without feeling guilty, So, and actually it depends from organization to organization. Of course, there needs to be structure, right? you can't be doing something at 10 a.m. and everyone else is looking for you to have meetings, etc. But what it means to me is that I never need to feel that one part is choking me, that I cannot express myself in any other way. So if I want to express myself in my fitness related activities, I can. If I want to go learn how to dance, if I want to take acting classes, I can. But it's also not stopping me on Saturday having a good cup of coffee and reading some emails as I'm chilling on my sofa with my feet up. So I can. So I don't have this hard line to say, no, Saturday I will not look at my email. No way. No one forces you in Maxis. We don't. We encourage people to take breaks. But if you want to, you can. So to me, I've learned that many years ago in my career through my mentors is that you can marry the both. You have time for everything. That's what it means to me. So don't be too hard on yourself. Like sharp 6 o'clock, I won't read this. You don't do that. And likewise on Monday morning, if your meeting starts late, you're gonna sleep in a bit. Why not? Or so this is the way the world is moving, right? In a virtual setting. So embrace it and let's take advantage of it.
Thank you, Agnel, for sharing such cool insight. When you want to register for dance class, do count me in as well, yeah? Okay, so my next question is to Sunita from Lashvini. What do you think about how digital is changing our personal and professional lives?
Wow, so quite a different take to that question. I think for me personally, how is it changing is, I think for me, I've never looked at it that way, whether it's changing me. I guess for me, it's we've been immersed in digital or the digital environment for a very long time. I mean, now if we look at, since the era of, mobile smartphones and so on, right? So it's all digital. I think if you think some of the younger talents, they prefer to text rather than talk, right? Because everything now is all digital. But I think because of COVID, the reason that we all had to work from home and so have sort of in a way forced us to think, right, how this whole digital setting has had an impact in our lives, right? So I think it's also because it's a personal thing. So for me, I embrace the technology. I can't imagine not having it as part of my life. I utilize it to the best, to my advantage. But I understand sometimes we do have digital fatigue and so on. But again, it's really up to the individual, how you find that right balance. How do you leverage digital or technology to your advantage, and knowing when to stop or when to shift away from it when it gets too much. So it's all about your own self-assessment on how on digital has an impact on your life.
Thank you, Sunita. So I think be conscious on the timing. Let's put this as the last questions, and I want to forward this to Agnel because I think you are going to have great insight on this. From Afnan. Afnan is actually saying that since people have started working remotely, do you prefer working with a set time rather than flexible working hours? Because he assumed that working from home would give us more flexibility. But he noticed that some employers expect you to be available after hours. So what will be your preference to this?
Okay, so let me share what it is for us in Maxis. We believe that there always should be some flexibility. However, we also believe that a structured approach is good, not so much for yourself, but it's so that your team members and the people that work with you don't have to keep guessing when you are available and when you're not. So I mean, there is flexibility, in terms of what time we come in. Do you want to have a longer lunch break? Marwan, Sunita, we do this a lot, even with our teams. If you want to leave earlier because you've got something you want to do, but we like to have a predictability as well, so that because we encourage high engagement. we really, really believe in collaboration. In fact, there are spaces in our office called collaboration corners. We want people to sit and talk and discuss, and even in the office, level 5, which is academy, which is Marwan's playground, there are a lot of tables and chairs set out there for people to sit and collaborate. But if we don't have that kind of some form of a regular, predictable timing, it's hard for people to collaborate with you as well. So we don't want it to be too fluid. We like to have some structure so that it's productive. But if there's any point in time flexibility is needed, we are totally cool with that as well. So I hope that answers the question. Maybe Marwan, Sunita, anything you'd like to add here as well?
Yeah, look, you summarized it, Agnel, and this is how I feel, by the way, as working within Maxis. There is flexibility. There is no strictness. You start at 9, you have to finish at 6, or you know what? Today your lunch was an hour plus. You have to work more after 6. I have not seen this within Maxis. As long as there's outcome, right? At the end of the day, you have targets, you have outcomes, you have key priorities. You're finishing it, then that's fine. So again, I guess Agnel has summarized it all.
Thank you, Agnel and Marwan, for sharing that. Okay, I think let's wrap things up. Thank you so much. The chat box is very active. They are all thanking you, agreeing with you, and even some are motivated, like I mentioned earlier, to start cycling. Thank you to Agnel. So yeah. So I think we're gonna share. I think before we end, we want to share about some of the opportunities in young talent scene in Maxis. Sunita, I'm going to share the screen. Okay. And then Sunita will be taking over to share about the opportunities. Over to you, Sunita.
Okay. All right. Are you gonna? Okay. All right. All right. So thanks again, everyone, for tuning in. Hope you guys had, or all of you have some key takeaways from the session. So before we leave you today, we wanted to share with you some of the great opportunities we have in Maxis. So if you see, we have the Maxis Young Talent Programs, we have the graduate programs, we have the scholarships, and of course, internship is something that all of you are probably very familiar. So for the Maxis graduate programs, we've launched 2 batches, 5 programs already, but not too late. We still have another batch to be rolled out in October, mid-October. It is for the network and for the consumer business or marketing program. So any of you who are or have graduated or completed your exams, looking for a role to kickstart your career, please stay tuned. Follow us on our social media platforms so that you'll know exactly when the applications are open for the next batch of graduate programs, right? And the next one we also wanted to share with you is our scholarship. So we recently launched our scholarship program 2021 last Friday. This is a great opportunity for you to share with your friends, your family members, or your relatives, for those who have just got in their first year in studies in any local public or private university based in Malaysia. So we have 3 tracks: the Maxis Tech, Women in Tech, and Young Leaders. So scholarship applications open since last Friday until 24th of October. So scan the QR code here. You will be directed to the application page. Look at the requirements and submit your application, or share this opportunity with your friends. Yeah, it's a great opportunity. One of the great highlights is the full funding of your tuition fee up to 40K per year. So it is, for if you know anyone who will benefit from this opportunity or this financial aid, please ensure that you share this opportunity with them. All right. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Back to you, Amir.
Thank you, Sunita, for sharing that. I think that's wrapping up the session that we have today. Thank you so much, all the audiences, for being with us today. It was a great questions from you, very active at the chat. I mean, the speakers, if you're going to see the live later at thegraduate.com, you can see so many insights and share comments from the audiences. Okay, back to you, Wafi.
So thank you, Amir, Marwan, Sunita, and Agnel for that insightful session. And thank you to the audience for tuning in. Do visit Maxis's booth to explore their diverse career opportunities, as mentioned by Sunita earlier. And don't forget to vote for them as Malaysia's most preferred employer at the Grad One Brand Awards. Do stay tuned for the remaining webinars happening throughout